So we're recording this. This is Arthur Bush. You're listening to Radio Free Flint, and I have as my guest a very accomplished musician, George Winter. Welcome.
I do.
Hey, it's a pleasure to see you this morning. George is talking to me from, I don't know, home of Michael Moore and John Sinclair. So let's let George do what he does best, which is play music. This is a tune called Sea Jam. George Winters, the piano man from Davison, Michigan. George, I wanted to talk to you today because you have a very long history as a musician playing in our region. And I want to talk to you a little about your career, the music, how the music scene's changed, what you think of Flint. Are you a Flintstone?
Yeah. I was born and raised in Flint until high school, then we moved to Flushing.
So what's it mean to be a Flintstone?
It's home, and it's an incredible place. I don't know, that's kind of a toughie, actually. Just the people that you grew up with there, it's just a bond that you never lose. I don't know, something about it coming back to Flint too is always home. After all the places I've been on the road, it's kind of amazing, that you'd want to get back here, but you just do.
Now, if you had to describe Flint in one word, what would it be?
Home.
All right, I'll take that. How long have you been playing music?
Let's see, since I was 9, so that's been about 23 years. That's actually adding up quite a bit now. It's over 50 years. So
you missed a couple decades.
Yeah.
Just so the audience knows, I mean, there's some that are my age that probably have watched you play in a club or someplace along the path in the Flint area. But just so that my audience, who also comes to us from all other venues around the globe, tell us what kind of musician you are and what it is that you do exactly.
Well, it's probably not that definable in one word for sure. Like just a lot of things, actually. Mainly what I've been doing the last 23 years or something like that, 24 years, is dueling pianos, do a lot of corporate events. And I was doing them. I still do a little bit around the country, but I'm trying to get away from that. I did it a lot for a while. In fact, for 5 years, it's been less than about 4 years ago, I kind of got out of that, but I was just full time. I was crossing the Mississippi almost every week. I got home every week, which was cool, for a few days, but it was just kind of crazy driving out there to Nebraska and, Kansas and North Dakota. I make it from here to Fargo in 16 hours. Only time I stop is to get gas or a rest stop or one 15-minute stop, maybe at Subway, and boom.
You play the piano.
Yes.
Do you play any other music?
Yeah, I play. I picked up the guitar when I was about 16, and I kind of got a little more serious at it when I was 18, and then I really worked hard at it for a long time. So I've been doing that, since then. And I play a little harmonica, give a hard shot at singing.
Are you solo, or do you have a band that you travel with? Or
well, when I do the dueling pianos, it's typically with a partner, they call it. So it'd be 2 piano players. Most of the time anymore, I travel with local guys. If I travel or just play local gigs, I try to stay in Michigan. In fact, right at this point right now, I have nothing else out of state. I just got back from a little deal. I did a couple gigs in Indiana and then one in just north of Pittsburgh, like a suburb, a week ago. And that was pretty cool. But hey, I've been doing something else kind of cool too. I just kind of fell into this thing with the sheriff. I don't know if you knew anything about this at all. The sheriff of Saginaw County, Bill Fetterspiel. I want to, yeah, some people called me and they had a gig going on it. Yeah, so we played that. The sheriff got hold of me, said he was thinking about doing a Bob Seger tribute. I said, really? I love Bob Seger. So yeah, I'd give it a shot, you know. So he wound up getting he got like a 10-piece band. And we've been rehearsing, and we did our first gig last Saturday in Saginaw at a place called The Vault. Actually, it was a Union Hall.
Oh, he's in the band too?
Not only is he in the band, he's a singer, the lead singer. And he's also a piano player too, but he just wants to sing. And that's cool. I mean, and he does a good job. I was, you know, pleasantly surprised at how good he is. And he sounds a lot like Bob Seger. And he looks a little bit like him. I don't know if you've seen his picture. He grew his beard out. He's got longer hair.
I haven't seen that picture. I saw the clean cut picture when he wanted to be the sheriff, though. And he's been there quite a long time.
I'm kind of a patriotic guy. I love America, and I like to, you know, recognize the vets. So we do a little thing, you know, and we get, if we can, we coax them up to the front of the stage. So we do that, and then we do learn the fight songs from them. So the Army fight song, if they're up there, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and then of course the Marines. It's a cool thing, and there's usually always a police officer there, and so I would do like a little bit of I Fought the Law, get people to sing it, you know, I fought the law, and boom, people sing Law One.
Still, let's talking about music. Let's hear some of your music. I think the audience would enjoy it. Here's Red Piano by George Winters from Davison, Michigan. We'll play the song in its entirety and come back on the other side and talk some more about George's music and about the Flint music scene and what he's learned after 50 years of being the piano man. So you went to Flushing High School and you grew up in...
Well, actually in Flint till 1969. I graduated in 1974, so I did my high school in Flushing.
I see. And what neighborhood did you live in Flint?
It's right on DeGaulle Street by Melbourne. Can I back you up a little bit just for a second here, back to that Flint thing?
Yeah, sure.
Because I told you I lived on Gold Street by Melbourne. Well, my dad actually, when he came to Flint, their family came from Royal Oak, and he was a president of, they moved him up to president of Prudential, insurance guy. Something happened, the business wasn't doing as good as they expect. They wound up firing him. They didn't do him, they did him wrong. Anyhow, my dad was a great piano player. He went and he got a job selling organs. He loved organs, anyhow. So he brings home an organ and he sets it in the living room and he's all proud of it. He got this new job. And he's like, I can have anybody playing both hands on the foot in 5 minutes. He says, you come here. And I was the baby of the family. So he sat me down and anyhow, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I kept doing it anyhow. I'll finish this before I get to the other part, but I couldn't do it. So I kind of let him down. I felt bad, I guess. And he left the thing there and I just kept messing with it. Pretty soon I was getting the hang of it. One day I'm like, hey, Dad, come here, look at this. He's like, well, I'm like, turned it on and started jamming. He's like, oh, okay. But so then anyhow, the point of the story I'm trying to take this to is he wound up taking over the Hammond Organ Studio, which was on Chevrolet and Mack. And that was a very hobnob for Hammond B3s were the big thing in the late 60s, early 70s. All the rock bands had them. The bands that came to town, the IMA and stuff, their manager would get a hold of my dad. He'd run them a B3. We got to see a lot of bands backstage. Jethro Tull. We thought they were done with their concert. We ran back there to get my brothers and me and my girlfriend at the time. We run back there to get the B3, and all them guys are sitting around kind of looking at us like, who are these guys? And we just froze, and then all of a sudden they started playing their second set. We watched from backstage. That was incredible. And I love Jethro Tull. My dad came home one night with this story. He says, yes, hippie come in. He says, he's a really classy hippie. He says he had a ponytail. He said he had a sideburns came down to his chin. He says he wanted to see a B3, and a B3 was like $3,500 plus you had to buy a Leslie. It was another $1,000 or whatever, 900, and yes, I want to see one. He goes, yeah, right over here. And he says the guy turned it on and bought it like a pack of cigarettes. He said, have you ever heard of Grand Funk Railroad? At the time I'd heard of them. They weren't really famous in Flint yet, He goes, well, the guy bought this thing. We're going to deliver it. You want to go with us? I'm like, sure. So we went to Mark Farner's house out in Linden. It was outside of town, just off Linden Road. But anyhow, went in there, brought that B3 out there. When we pulled in the driveway, this guy come out of the house. He's a big afro. He's about 9 foot tall, and got in his Lincoln and took off. It was Don Brewer. I didn't know that at the time, but he was so such a distinct looking character. I just still see him in my mind. But anyhow, we went in there and met Mark Farner, and he got that B3 that we brought it over there. And as soon as we left, he started playing it, and he wrote foot stomping music. Denny McLean was an organ player, and I was big time into baseball. But anyhow, my dad says to me, Denny McLean is coming to town at the IMA for something. I'm going to go meet him. And I kind of laughed. I'm like, yeah, right, Dad. Good luck with that, Next day, he has the guy in my house. Okay. Denny McLean. And I had him my mitt. And Denny wasn't that friendly to me, to be honest with you. I was like, okay, whatever.
Now, Denny McLean was often seen playing at the Shorthorn Lounge in Flint.
Correct.
On Dort Highway near Court. Did you ever play that lounge?
I did. In fact, more after it was done, after the heyday, I played there a little bit. In fact, the guy that owned it, he had taken it back a couple of times. And I told him, I said, I'd love to own a club like this. I wish I had a little more money, And he goes, you know what? He says, I like the idea of an entertainer owning this place. He says, I might just sell you this place, let you pay me out of the till. He started telling me some of the numbers that it used to do. And they're amazing.
George, how did you first get interested in music? Was it the story with the organ, or was it something else?
Yeah, I think it was that. And I don't know why I often have scratched my head to why I glued to it like I did, but it was when I was really young, like back then, that was middle 60s. It was organ and baseball. That was my two things,
So George, let's listen to a different one of your songs with a Moog synthesizer and your Hammond B3 organ. This one's called Heaven, since we're talking about Flint. George, you have spanned quite a long time. You said you've been a musician for 50 years. And I can only think of a few others that are still at it. So I think that Jimmy Zimbo, who's also out there still trotting around with his fingers on the keyboards. Bob Adato, with his two.
Jimmy is actually working for a company that I've been doing sales for. Went down there and helping. Been selling piano shells. I don't know if you know what a piano shell is. It's furniture. It looks like a piano. You put a keyboard in. Really? And we make different sizes, and we've been selling them all over the world. And when I got off the road, I tell you, I was on the road for like 5 years solid. I was kind of looking for something. He offered me a job selling for him, and I didn't think it was going to turn into much. And it's just kind of taken off.
You've played a lot of joints in the Flint area over those 50 years, if that's what it is.
Yes.
Tell me your favorites.
You know, I think I love Bosley's. I really love Bosley's. That was like home. And Doug Bosley was such a great guy to me. I mean, can't even tell you. He looked out for me like nobody really ever did in that kind of business, for that long. That's amazing. I raised my family basically working for him, and also for John too at the Speakeasy. He was also very cool.
You're talking about John and Mary Ann Barnadelli in Flushing.
Yes, at the Speakeasy. That was a great spot. It was, yes. And I love them people too. They're just super duper.
there's got to be some old ones, like maybe the Fireside.
Yeah, like I was just funny you said that, because that's what I was going to say next. And actually, I played at the Fireside in the Bob Bedato Trio back in the 70s. Yeah, in fact, and too, another thing about Bob, he's always been one of my heroes, one of my favorite sax players. In fact, I did a album, had him play sax on it, and it's worldwide. You can dial it in anywhere and check it out.
We didn't talk about one of my favorites of all time, which is Jimmy Lump's Aloha Lounge. Did you ever play that one?
You know what? I never really think I did play a couple off nights. I think about it. I've forgotten that. But I used to go in there. It was just a cool place. You're talking about how things you mentioned earlier about, how things, how they are now. To me, it's not like that at all. It used to be where you play someplace 6 nights a week, have a house gig, they'd call it. And some of these guys still want to do that. They're like, hey, we should get together and have a house gig. They don't do that anymore. It just doesn't happen.
Why isn't it popular anymore?
I think, if you want my take, I'm just a piano player and got my own little point of view, but I just think times change, and people were really into live music for a long time. And I know, like, I had my trailer worked on, and it was right by this country bar out in Clio. And I drove by there, and they turned it into a dispensary. So I mentioned it to this kid that was working on he said, did you ever go there? And he's like, no, he says, I never went there. He said, my dad did that kind of stuff. I've never been in that at all. And I think that the younger generation is a lot like that. They've never bought an album because they stream it. Another thing is, what was really fascinating, I got remarried almost 20 years ago. My wife had daughters. I took them on a field trip down to Sloan Museum, and I hadn't been there since I was a kid. And I was fascinated. They won't run through the place. I'm reading everything about how Flint became a boom town. People moved up here from the South to get rich in the auto plant. Just things were a lot different. It seems like you always knew somebody. Just about everybody was affiliated with somebody that worked for General Motors. It was just that.
All right, then, let's take just a moment. We'll listen to One Stretch Our Legs. This one's an up-tempo song called Lucky by George Winters of Davison, Michigan.
I feel lucky today. I'm going to the market and I won't play. I won't win the lottery, win it today. I'm gonna buy my wife a new diamond ring. I'm gonna buy my wife anything that she wants. Yeah, I'm gonna win the lottery, win it today.
But I love Flushing anyhow. I loved growing up there, my high school. That was really great. It was a great time. It was a nice mix too, because between Flint and Flushing.
What is it about Flushing? Because people do really love Flushing. I don't ever talk to anybody who say, it sucks. I can tell you what I like about Flushing, which is the A&W.
Okay.
You got good popcorn. And there's something about their hot dogs I really like.
And the root beer is not bad either. Maybe it was the time. It was just a cool place. Going to school there was a guy that was the art teacher, Yeah, Wolfgang was his name. Everybody knew that guy, Richard Wolfgang. Everybody knew him, but he was a great guy. He motivated a lot of music. He was really into music. He played banjo. He'd have jam sessions. I think I did have him. I did take one art class, but even when I was in his class, he had me bring a piano down on Friday sometimes and just jam,
When he retired from Flushing, eventually he ended up in a gallery, bought a gallery on Mackinac Island. Yeah. Wolfgang did the posters for the Mackinac Lilac Festival, big series. They're collector's items now.
To his place there, his gallery, actually a few times. And what was really interesting too is he had, like you're talking about, he made the artwork he did for up there. And I come back down here and I've seen it like where the Holiday Inn is there at the Gateway Holiday Inn there in Hill Road. They had it hanging in there. And I've seen it a few other places too. It was just amazing. It's like, it's almost like seeing Craig Frost, music stores, around the tree and stuff, which was kind of cool. As I knew that guy way back when, but he played with Bob Seger. So
besides growing up in Flushing, you've played in a lot of places around the country. When you tell people you're from Flint, what do they have to say about that?
Well, that's actually, I was going to say a minute ago, I was out west. I hate to say it, but I got traveled with this one guy from Phoenix, and people say, "Where are you guys from?" Well, I'm from Flint, because you don't want to say Davison or Flushing or something, because they mostly never heard of it. Yeah, but you say Flint, oh, okay, where are you from? Phoenix. And they just grab it, they'd ignore me a lot of times. It's like, you're from Flint, but, and then they joke a lot too about the water. You got good water? Yeah, I have a well.
Dueling piano thing, I first found out about that in San Antonio, Texas on the Riverwalk.
I've been there.
Beautiful place.
Awesome place.
But the concept spread around the country.
Like most of the piano bars, like Rum Runners down in Lansing, is right across from where the Lugnuts played. It was like very high traffic area. JD's Key Club down in Pontiac. It was when downtown Pontiac was really booming, and there's a lot of people there, just population coming in from all the little suburbs. It wasn't really Pontiac people, but so, and the same thing with Mojo still does good out in Grand Rapids because they have the right demographics. I didn't play down there much when I was young, a little bit, but mostly I got to know the city a lot more in my older age, like after the speakeasy days, even, especially dueling pianos, because that kind of took off, and there's a few places that opened up. We used to do another one on Haggerty and 14 Mile. It's called Goodfellas. And that place jammed. It was big and it was packed all the time. I remember the owner was a super nice guy. He was a builder. He made his money building. He bought that place, and he says, if you want to make a lot of money, don't buy a dueling piano. I'm looking around. It's packed. I don't understand. You get a cover charge, Now,
a lot of the musicians I talk to, and even ones that are known nationally, they do a lot of these gigs like you're talking about. Once they reach a certain age, they don't really want to play clubs if they can avoid it. And so they start playing houses and house parties and garden parties and all that. Is that a natural progression?
Maybe, and especially with the way things have went. Like I say, it's not like the live music isn't 5-6 nights a week. People don't just go to see it like that. But there is still, I think since the shutdown, people have realized they just want to live life more. They want to go see it. I've been playing these piano shows, and it's nothing to do with me, because dueling pianos is not personal. It's they'll say, we're going to have a dueling piano gig. It could be any two guys, really. So it's, I can't really take the credit for selling them out. It's not because of me. It's just dueling pianos. It's shtick, and people like it. It's fun.
Yeah. Now, some of those people that are dueling pianos, they start dancing around on top of their pianos and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing you brought up, because when I was working at Rum Runners, I asked some people some of the regulars, I said, who do you think's a good piano player? I'm just curious. And they named off a couple of people. I said, I didn't think they were that good, but I comparatively speaking, on a music level or whatever. But I said, why do you like them? And they said, well, I like the one guy because he gets up on top of the piano. But, people, they listen with their eyes. So if you can give them a show, that's kind of, it's a showy thing. It's just not a personal thing. It's like, I can do this, command and do the song and do the command and get the audience to do that. You can do it. Joe Blow can do it. Anybody can do it. It's just, if you do it right, it works. So it's a formula kind of thing, and it's not personal. It's not. I went from playing Bosley Speakeasy, playing a lot of dinner music. My hands were in good shape when I got into it. I played licks that would impress me, and nobody would even notice. Not even, they just wouldn't even notice. But as soon as you start really, doing this kind of stuff, they're like, oh, look at this guy. It could be just one note.
So the performative part of this business that you've gotten yourself into, you're pretty good at. You were always a little more performative than some of them other guys. Although, I mean, watch a guy like Zimbo, he knows how to work the crowd.
He has a knack with people and a great voice. Well, it was funny because we were kind of a little bit in a competition because he's there and I'm here. I know he sings great and all that. A lot of people might not realize him and me actually traveled in a rock and roll band before any of that stuff happened. It's like I have another lifetime before before all that stuff even happened, and he was part of it.
You're from Flint. You've seen a lot of changes over the years. You've gone from some of the heydays of the rock bands from Flint. We didn't talk much about your experience as a rock star, but you've seen a lot of things come and go. Mostly it was going for General Motors, and that changed significantly. How did General Motors going change Flint and the music scene as far as you were concerned?
I just think that the money was not there anymore. People didn't have the security, the money. A lot of people left town. I mean, the population has diminished quite a bit, I think. Thus, along with the times changing too, like I say, people now, if you ever go in a bar too, you ever notice that most of them have like 25 TVs everywhere you look, and they got cage fighting, they got hockey, it's all action. It's hard to, people don't seem to, I think that between their phones and all that stuff, it's harder for them to focus.
George Winters, I really appreciate taking the time to talk to me. Goodbye for now.
All right, CR, thank you very much.